Hello, hello. Good evening, everyone. Hi, how are you? It's Amanda's here. Hello, hi, welcome, guys who's coming in the room. Good to see you. Welcome to Periscope and Poetry Night 1. I'm so excited you guys are here to join me on this inaugural evening as I introduce our National Poetry Month scopes. So happy April to you guys. It's finally here. National Poetry Month, which is like music to the ears of all poets and English teachers, and I invite you guys to join me every weeknight this month for a Periscope on a different poem that I teach in my classroom. Some of them I just enjoy on my own, but most of them are all going to be poems for the classroom. So I'm so excited that you're here. And for those of you I'm catching on the replay, thank you so much for watching. I really can't wait to have dialogue with you in the future. So keep an eye out, guys, for me around 9 o'clock at night on weeknights. Again, my name is Amanda. This series is called Periscope and Poetry, and you guys can find me two main places. I mostly am lurking around Twitter at @mudandink_, or on my website, which is also a blog, and that's www.mudandinkteaching.org. And I hope you guys will stick around to the end of the broadcast. I've got a free giveaway for you guys from my TPT store that I'd like to treat everyone to in the month of April. So let's go ahead and get started, and let me flip you around. So hi, for those of you I've never met, my name is Amanda, and I am a high school English teacher in Chicago, Illinois, and I teach 10th and 12th grade language arts, mostly writing, and definitely literature. My students are a pretty diverse mix of needs. I've got special education students, I've got ESL students, I have advanced students, and I have students just from across the globe. We're really lucky. Sorry, look at that. That's professional. I've got students from across the globe. We have a lot of students who come to our school from all kinds of places. We've got a very, very diverse population, from Latino students to Middle Eastern students to Indonesian students. It's just quite the mix. So I'm really excited to share some of the things that work for me in my classroom with you, and especially with poetry. So welcome. I'm so happy that you're here. The first thing I want to make sure that you do is that you're all set up. Hello, welcome to the room. I want to make sure that you guys know how to get to the free resources that are going to guide you through this month. Those free resources are located on my TPT store. So you guys are going to head to teacherspayteachers.com. Let me show you guys how to get there. Okay, it looks like this. Let me flip you around. Okay, when you get here to Mud and Ink Teaching, Teachers Pay Teachers, you're going to just search for Mud and Ink Teaching. You guys can go ahead and take a screenshot of that if you need. Thank you so much for sharing this broadcast out. I really appreciate it. When you guys get here, all you need to do is click on the free download now, or you can scroll down and grab a poem a day right here. Right here is where you can grab a poem a day. And when you grab a poem a day, the download will look something like this. It'll come to your computer. It's a PDF. So once that downloads for you, you'll hit download now. All right. And it will be available for you for free. Okay. It's pretty awesome. So I'm going to show it to you in my drive. Let me see. It's got me all logged out here for a second. Let's see what's going on. Sorry, guys. A little technical difficulty here. 1 second. Hey, Kristen, what's going on? My computer's just being silly. So glad you're here. All right. Oh, I know. Come on, come on. I had it all set up beforehand, and now it's being a butt. Okay, so when you guys get signed in and you have my document, it's going to look like this. It'll kind of walk you guys through all the different things. Okay. Oh yeah, now it wants to download. Okay, Go away. It'll give you some ways to connect with me, which I've already showed you at the beginning of this. But here's the most important. This is the freebie. This is a calendar for you guys of all the different poems we're going to be going through together this month. Yeah, thank you guys for sharing this out. I really appreciate it. That's awesome. And so this calendar is showing you guys the different poems that we will be going through each night. So you can see here we are tonight. Woo! It's the first night. We're going to do a little overview, introduction, and our first poem. Hey, Amy. Hi, guys. Thanks for joining me. So here we are on the first night, and then starting on Monday, we will be full-time all the way through the month, every single night. This is like a super big Periscope goal for me. I get super, I avoid getting on Periscope. I love to listen, but I don't always love to scope. So I'm going to really be practicing and getting my scopes on for you guys. So that's the calendar. That's what you need. So one more time, the way you grab that is just head over to my TPT store. It is this month's freebie. So when you're back there on my homepage, it is the freebie. Just grab it. No big deal. Super, super easy. Yeah. Hi. How are you? I'm so excited that you're here. This is awesome. All right. So, awesome. We've got some cool friends joining us tonight. Yay for creepers. Okay. So now that you guys you're all set. Okay. You got the calendar. That's definitely the most important thing. So once you got your calendar, you're set to go. A couple other things that are going to be important in this download. We've got the big 6. And this, now I know I've got some elementary people here that follow me and that may be joining us. You guys will have to let me know if this sounds doable for you. This is my favorite way of, yes, that is true. Everyone needs poetry, creeper or normal person. Or non-teacher. I don't know why you'd be in a poetry scope if you're not a teacher or like a really avid poetry person, but anywho's, the big 6 is awesome. This is something I invented really early on in my poetry teaching career. And I was really having a hard time teaching kids how to analyze poetry because it always felt so intimidating and overwhelming. And so basically the big 6 breaks this down for kids and they can jump into a poem at any point on the circle. Anywhere that they want. So there's not an order. I mean, I remember learning, have you guys ever heard of TP Cast? I think that's how I learned poetry. And it was just kind of like this very formulaic approach to getting into a poem. And I didn't really like a formula for poetry, but I definitely needed a structure for kids. And so this is what I use as the big 6. And so it tells them important, right? Poetry must happen analysis can only happen after you have read a poem twice. And so I asked them to read it twice. That's right there in the middle. And then the students can kind of look at a poem from any of these 6 points. So they can take a look at, it's okay, but definitely not awesome. Yeah. So I like this. So speaker is a great way to look at a poem. If I had a student that only looked at the speaker in a poem, I think we could have a really good conversation. Something that goes way beyond the surface level. So speaker is ideal place to start. It's easy. The kids can do the bullet points there, identify the narrator, who or what is speaking, how are you like or unlike the narrator, what adjectives describe that narrator. That's huge. So, so important for a poem. Of course, then there's theme, there's paraphrasing, there's the turns. That's actually one of my favorites is the turns, the way a poem moves emotionally. And so if they're looking at number 4, they're looking at how does the poem curve? How does it go? How does the tone shift from beginning to middle to end? That's a really fun way of looking at a poem. And then of course there's the tools. That's, I think, most English teachers' first instinct is to, dig in. Oh, there's metaphor. Oh, there's simile. Oh, now we've got personification. That's something that we feel really comfortable with, but sometimes it takes a while for kids to get into the tools. And then of course there's number 6, the title. So those are the 6 ways that I try to get my students to look at poetry, and not all 6 for every poem. Sometimes I just hop in on 2 of those elements, maybe just 1, maybe 3. Sometimes I let the kids pick. Once I've taught them all 6, sometimes I'll say, okay, here's the poem we're going to look at today. You pick 2 places to jump in and tell me what you think. So we'll be using this Big Six tool as we go through the month, talking about the poems that I'm sharing with you. And yeah, I think it's just really like, it makes it a lot less intimidating because all of these things they already know how to talk about with regular literature. So I think that's great. Yeah, so awesome. And then the last thing, of course, you guys, well, you're here, so you know how to use Periscope. And then we're also hosting a slow Twitter chat. So if you guys are on Twitter, hop on. I've been tweeting a lot all day, just kind of answering some of these questions at random all month long. So the idea of a slow Twitter chat is just to spend time having conversation about lots of questions and networking with people. So the idea of a slow Twitter chat is that we have lots of side conversations and lots of resources shared and lots of things that spin out because of the chat. So there's no rush. That's all month long on Twitter with hashtag poetrytchat, T meaning teachers. Okay, cool. So that's what I've got for you guys. Let me bring you back. Come on, hello. Okay, so hey again. Hi, hello everybody. Let's put you up. So that's kind of the big overview. I'm really excited to get started. Of course, I'm going to leave you tonight with a poem because how could I not? You need to hear a great poem tonight. And so I've chosen a very special piece that I always share with students. It kind of goes along with the philosophy behind the Big Six. And this is Billy Collins' Introduction to Poetry. So I'm going to flip it around so you can follow along. This is from the Poetry 180. It's a long time ago. I guess it wasn't that long ago. Maybe 5 or 6 years ago when Billy Collins was Poet Laureate. He tried to do a poem a day initiative, and this is the publication that came out of that. So there's a website that goes with this book. So let me show you the poem. This is the beauty. Billy Collins' Introduction to Poetry. So I leave you tonight. I leave you guys tonight with this beautiful piece by Billy Collins. He says, Introduction to Poetry. I ask them to take a poem and hold it up to the light, like a color slide, or press an ear against its hive. I say drop a mouse into a poem and watch him probe his way out, or walk inside the poem's room and feel the walls for a light switch. I want them to water ski across the surface of a poem, waving at the author's name on the shore. But all they want to do, is tie the poem to a chair with rope and torture a confession out of it. They begin beating it with a hose to find out what it really means. Gosh, so like right away, I'm thinking about this poem and I'm thinking that I would love for my students to find the turn, right? So usually the first thing we would do, we'd number the stanzas. We'd talk about, what did you get the first time around? What do you know? What's this poem about? What can you grab onto? And then I might introduce like one of the elements. And I think for me, when I read that, the turn for me is so obvious right there with the word but. That's a great keyword. The kids know that the word but signals a transition. And so I'd love for them to start talking, in pairs or at their tables about the beginning half of the poem. Actually, it's like the beginning 3/4 of the poem. What's the tone there? What's the attitude? What's the poet talking about there at the beginning? And then how does it shift? And that's really the beauty of a poem. And I tell the kids too, that if they're talking about music, great music does the same thing. I think it's boring when a lot of poetry is the same emotion from start to finish and there's no rise or fall. And so I definitely have them looking at turns and I definitely have them looking at speaker. I think those would be two really fun things to talk about in this poem. So I'm going to keep it short. I just want to share some fun things with you and talk about, do you guys have any questions? Feel free to ask any questions that you have. Otherwise, Yes, definitely. That's awesome. I'm so happy to hear that. And Mrs. Thompson, what's your first name? I don't think I know your first name. I know that you're following me on Twitter. I saw you today. I just want to call you by your name. Kristen. Oh my gosh, I've got two Kristens. Okay, cool. Hi, Kristen. Yes, the turn is huge. And I think that the turn almost always can reveal the message for kids. And I think it's like that unlocking little piece of the puzzle. It's so nice when they can find it. And yeah, I think it's great sometimes, especially with 9th grade and 10th grade, to kind of set them up with poems that have easy to find turns. And then I think the harder the poems get, they're used to listening for that as they read. And even if they can't really interpret everything that's going on, if they can hear or feel that shift, they will learn a lot about the poem and what it means. So, Kristen, thank you for joining me. Everyone else, thank you for joining me on the replay. It was so good to see you. I look forward to the rest of our chats here on Periscope and on Twitter. Thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing with your followers. Have a wonderful, wonderful Friday. Good night.